Good evening, everyone, and as you can see, I'm on my own tonight. Peter's unfortunately not feeling great, so we sent him best wishes at the moment. So I'm going to keep this short. We have a fantastic guest on tonight, originally from Orkney and now living in the US. So let's bring her on, Louise Bichan.
Hello.
Hello, Louise. Thank you much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
No bad at all. How are you?
As I said, I've had better days. And your co-host kind of shies off the hour before the show. It's a bit unnerving, but yeah, we're good. So let's just kind of get into it. Tell us a bit about how you started playing the fiddle and trad music.
Well, I guess I grew up listening to a lot. My folks were very much into it. Mum grew up playing guitar, and she sang a bit as well. She would sneak out of the bedroom window off to the folk club that she was not allowed to go to when she was a teenager, and they'd put her on stage early. And she'd sing a few songs and play guitar with some friends there. She went to school with Charlie McCarran, actually, who was a couple of years above her. So we always grew up listening to a lot and going obviously to the Orkney Folk Festival and all that kind of thing. I mind being in primary school. There was two buildings, the big end and the PD end, we called them, and I was still in the PD end, and I remember hearing somebody play fiddle in the school playground one time and being like, I want to do that looks fun. But I also knew where the fiddle lesson room was, and the water fountain was right outside of it, and it was in the big end. And so I would be like, can I go get a glass of water? And after a while, someone would come fetch me and be like, this on the door, listening into the fiddle lessons. So I wanted to learn from pretty young. And I learned through school with Douglas Montgomery, and he was my teacher for like a decade. It was a long time. Very lucky, got them all the way through primary and secondary school. And I also learned through the Orkney Traditional Music Project, which was incredible. I'm very, very lucky to have both those things. Still going Saturday fiddle classes and accordion as well. They do a summer school. Yeah, and I kind of learned all my repertoire through them too, in a way, and then got started on teaching. They threw me in at the deep end and told me I could go off and teach the adult class when I was so young. That was my first job, was teaching the adults, and helping tune fiddles in the like class of 50 kids going scraping away on a Saturday morning. So that's kind of where I got started with it. And then with Douglas, there was Douglas still has Haddergan, which is the school fiddle group. And I think I started asking him if I could join Haddergan from about the minute I had a fiddle in my hand. He would say, well, we'll need to practice a pretty bit more. So yeah, then that was in secondary school. I was part of Haddergan, and we got to go all over the place. Played in Canada, even played the Trad Awards one year. That was very exciting. Yeah, so that was brilliant. And he always was very encouraging of writing music as well. And all the fiddle players, all the musicians in Haddergan would write tunes and bring them in. So yeah, I'm very, very lucky that was my upbringing.
So it's quite nice to hear that you were interested from an early age, especially with your mum playing traditional music as well. It kind of is almost genetic.
Yeah, and Dad's side too, and the family.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah. So your mum and dad's side, obviously your mum's side from the mainland, and your dad's side from Orkney.
Dad's Orkney, yeah. And my granny was a beautiful singer, and my uncle played some fiddle when he was younger, but it wasn't cool at the time. We kind of hide the fact that he did. He plays more like he plays tenor guitar and bass and writes songs and stuff now. So we always enjoy a visit to Aberdeenshire to play with him once in a while. But yeah, my family, it's definitely in the blood on both sides. Dad never played anything, but very much a music appreciator. But yeah, it's in the blood.
It's amazing how some folk have the interest from an early age, and then some develop over time. We're going to kind of go straight into a video, which is of a trio, and you're performing at Salon 7. Yeah,
it was, I guess it's not called, is it Salon 7 now? No, I should know this. My friend Inga owns it in Kirkwall. And I had these two friends, Katie McNally, who's a brilliant fiddle player, and Connor Hearn, brilliant guitar player and singer. And they were over, we played some shows in Orkney a couple summers in a row, actually. And one of the times we went into the salon and made this very fun and silly little video. I just thought it was really fun, so I thought I would share that.
The one thing folk will kind of appreciate throughout tonight's show is the work that you put into your videos.
Thanks.
And we'll explain the reason why that in a short second. So here we go, here's the first one. It's nice to see artists that don't take themselves too seriously.
We certainly don't. Yep, bit of fun anyway.
What we have found over the past wee while of doing Tartan Tunes for 3 years is that a lot of the higher end of the trad musicians, especially on fiddle, didn't go to the trad school. They go to the conservatory RSMD to do trad. Most did classical or jazz, and you went to Glasgow to do
photography. I went to the art school. I mean, I went to Glasgow because of the music over like Edinburgh College of Art, for example. But yeah, I went to the art school, and it was really, at the time it was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I love music, I love photography and art. I was like, which one am I gonna like study? I was afraid, honestly, that if I studied music, I wouldn't love it anymore. And I was afraid of that in art too. And I went to Orkney College first and did a year doing an art portfolio preparation thing. Partly also because I was 17 and I didn't want to go to Glasgow till I was 18. But yeah, that was kind of like my trial run. Can I do this all day, every day, and still enjoy it? And I did. And then I went to art school, and guess what? I did not enjoy it. Honestly, didn't. It was a lack of confidence kind of a thing in a way, and just being in an environment that's so competitive and so yeah. I didn't love the art school. However, I loved Glasgow, and I still think it was the right choice for me entirely. And I was more likely to be found in the Ben Nevis than at art school, which became a problem in my last year, which was self-directed. And my tutor pulled me aside and says, give me a reason to let you finish this degree. I was like,
have you seen my photos of the pub?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I actually did. One of my final projects was on folk music in Scotland, and so I did a portraiture project where I interviewed a bunch of musicians about life on the road, life as a musician in Scotland, and that kind of thing. So I did, include my music in my art. And I think my dissertation was on like folklore or something like that. It was music related as well.
They're looking at this going, she's the wrong course.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't regret going there at all. I really don't regret being in Glasgow. I really was kind of having a musical education at the same time in a way. But yeah, not formally.
No, you do find that some people who go and study something that they love learn to kind of not resent it as such, but they don't kind of enjoy it as much as a job.
Yeah.
But it's good when you have more than one string to your bow, as the case may be, because obviously you the photography side for yourself, but as well as that, you also do design work.
Yeah, I do. I really do a lot of both sides of that. Like I'm happiest in life when I'm able to do a mixture of the music and the art, and a nice balance of the two. I do a lot of design and layout and that kind of thing, album art, photography. I've kind of ventured into printmaking and embroidery and all the other things, like especially since the pandemic. This room is chock block full of art supplies and music books and instruments. But I'm happiest when I do get to do a real mix of the both things, and they play into each other as well. I kind of fell into photographing musicians. I think Rachel Hare was the first person that said, "You do photography, right? Would you take pictures of my band, my trio?" And we went into the studio, I think at the art school, and I took pictures of Rachel, and I was terrified. I wasn't good at taking pictures of people at that point at all, and it was partly like a shyness thing. Like I was terrified of taking pictures of people. But yeah, that was the first client was Rachel here, and it kind of just went from there. Ended up photographing so many musicians, and it's great. And I really enjoy portraitures now. Kind of my favorite of all the photography. But yeah, I'm really lucky get to do a bit of everything. Oh.
if that happens again, I'll chuck a video on. But yeah, it's nice to hear that you've kind of got over that initial shyness and fear. But I think with performing as well, the shyness goes because you have the stage presence and everything else, which you would have got if you went to the conservatoire.
Of course.
Now, one of the other projects you've been working on, or is currently still working on, or have worked on in the past, is Fiddle Cam.
Yeah.
Forgive me, did Fiddle Cam start before COVID?
Yeah. Oh, it's been Fiddle Cam has been a thing for a while, like a long time. Fiddle Cam, it started out life. Me being ADHD and like I don't know, I was just me like losing attention in rehearsals and things or in the pub or whatever, and deciding to make little videos where I had my phone here and I'm playing fiddle, looking down the neck of the fiddle at what's going on around me, and my fingers were just kind of like playing along. I wasn't actually bowing the fiddle, and that's how it started.
Oh no!
And that was so long ago. And then it was actually Inga, who owns Image Orkney, which is what Salon 7 is now called. She was the one that said to me, you should make an Instagram account for this. It's really funny. It's like fun and silly and cool. And so I did, and then it kind of took off. And then a friend who I met through a fiddle camp in California was like, I love this idea, I want to help you out. And he gave me a GoPro. And so now I even worked with someone who does some design and 3D printing, and he helped kind of with a little setup for it. So it's mounted with a shoulder rest the opposite way on the fiddle, and GoPro pointing down the neck of the fiddle.
Oh.
And it kind of developed from there. But that was so long ago, like probably more than 10, like maybe 10 years, something like that, more than 10 years. And it's just videos in bonny locations and that kind of thing. It's been less, I've done less of it in the last year or so, but in 2020, when we weren't exactly playing shows,
no, exactly.
Ended up trying to move to Portland from Boston, and ended up not being able to find anywhere to live in Portland. Bought an old Volvo and did this incredible road trip across the country and back, camping in like national forest and that kind of thing, and hiking in all these beautiful, beautiful national parks and forests and that kind of thing. And so fiddle was with us then, and GoPro and everything. And I took so many videos in just incredible places. And I actually haven't really shared any of them yet, but I'm going to be doing more of that next year. So, right. Yeah. It's just a silly little.
This one we've got is called Inverness.
Inverness, yeah. It's an Orkney tune and a place in Orkney.
So we're going to play the full 3 minutes of this, because at the end, obviously, you then stop playing and you kind of show a panoramic view.
I like to give a moment of the landscape on its own.
So here we go. Enjoy.
Yeah.
It's a unique way of performing and showing the beautiful islands of Orkney.
Yeah, it's fun, and that was I shot that one in, I think it was actually March. It was a really bonny day in March, and I was home for the first time in 3.5 years because of the US government and their awful immigration system and COVID. It was just one of those situations where the goalposts just kept moving, and I didn't see any home or my family for a long, long time. So March was when I finally got the green card sorted and could go home and surprise my parents, and it was brilliant. But yeah, while I was there, that day I took walk.
Did you not do a video of you arriving home without telling them?
Oh yeah, there's video. My parents had no idea.
I remember watching it. It
was incredible. My siblings were all in on it, my aunts and uncles, and my parents had no idea. One of my aunts was awful concerned. Auntie Marty was like, when your cousin came home from New Zealand and surprised me, I almost had a heart attack. And I think Dad definitely looked like he'd seen a ghost. He actually said he thought he had. He just didn't believe his eyes and walked straight past me at first. And yeah, both of them were, and wow. I was like shaking. It was just like such an emotional moment. But yeah, it was very special. Got to come home, celebrate them because Dad turned 70 and Mum turned 60 within a year of each other. So we had a 130th birthday party surprise for them. Me being part of that surprise. Exactly. It was great. And I really, really appreciated just finally getting to be at home. And when the weather was nice, I was just outside and enjoying that. And that just shot, there's this really awesome walk that you can do out the back of Stromness, which looks over towards Hoy, the islands in the background there. That's Hoy, which is the biggest of the non-mainland in Orkney, and that's just one of my absolute favourite views in Orkney, out the back of Stromness there, the smaller of the two towns, along kind of the cliff edge. You can do this brilliant walk. And yeah, it was just such a bonny day. I was just kind of sat in the grass playing my fiddle for a lot of it, just practicing and just soaking up the landscape. I watched as these clouds like rolled in, and it looked like I was going to get soaked, and it just rolled past over Hoy, and it was really, really incredible to see that all happen. And I think that's one of the things I really do miss the most about home when I'm in the States, especially on the east coast of the States. It's, so forested, whereas you're in Orkney and there's not a tree in sight, and it's just these huge, big, wide open views, just like 360 views, and ever-changing weather and light. It's just such a special place, and I was so grateful to be home at last. And so it was a magic afternoon with my fiddle and taking little fiddle cam videos.
It's quite funny because I've said to Peter before about, obviously, Shetland's very similar. There's no trees.
Yeah.
And I said to him once, do you know where all the trees are in Shetland? He went, no, it's Norway.
I mean, Orkney, Hoy is the most southerly of the Isles in Orkney, and Hoy has the most northerly natural forest in the entirety of the UK, and it's just this tiny little patch of trees. They're tiny.
They're new.
Yeah. Not many.
So we come back. So you're at the School of Art. You've graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
Well, that was so I graduated 2011, and I stuck around Glasgow for a while playing music and taking pictures of musicians and traveling about a wee bit. I was in various different bands. The last of which, before I left Glasgow, was Farah. I was a founding member with the Orkney Lasses, and we played. I guess so. Farah started, and then I ended up going to California, to Alistair Fraser's fiddle camp, Valley of the Moon, on the recommendation of my friend Laura Wilkie. My cousin came, Laura was there, and Sarah Hayes came as well. So there was a little crew of Scots that were over for that fiddle camp in California, and it was just incredible. I met so many great folks. including Connor, who was in that video first there. And then after that, I was traveling around Canada, visiting with relatives. I went to Cape Breton briefly for Celtic Colours and was kind of working on 2 projects, one to do with like the musical connection with Cape Breton, and the other was a more personal project that ended up being my first album, Out of My Own Light, which looked at, it kind of followed the story of my granny, who, when she was 25 in 1950, she spent 6 months in Canada with, common problem, I'm sure you'll agree, 2 marriage proposals to decide between. So the obvious solution is go to the other side of the world and spend time with your Canadian relatives. So that's what she did, and it did help her get away from the problem enough to figure it out and come home and thankfully marry Grandad. And so I was kind of working away on that. I did 2 trips back to Canada and to Valley of the Moon Fiddle Camp. And by the time, I think the end of that first trip, I was in Boston briefly as well, and I had met so many folks who had gone to Berklee College of Music in Boston. And I guess just learning, hearing all this brilliant music, meeting all these amazing, inspiring people, and just feeling so inspired, but also feeling like there were so many things I wanted to learn or get better at in music. And by the time I got to Berklee, I ended up going to Berklee to sit in on some classes. Mary Campbell, brilliant harp player, she was there at the time. Sorry, they were there at the time. And I sat in on some of Mary's classes. A few other folks as well. And I met a lot of great people, and just at that point decided that's what I wanted to do next. I wanted to go and study. And so, I think I took about a year. I applied and got a place in a scholarship, and then I did deferred the place and went back and applied again, did another interview and audition to ask for a bigger scholarship, which I got, and raised money looking for scholarships at home and stuff. So I spent that year raising the money to go, because it is ridiculous in this country.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
But I was so lucky because I made it work without ever taking any loans out, and I worked my butt off and made it happen. But yeah, when I left Glasgow, I was still playing with Farah, and it was, the last show that we did was in Tuner in Denmark. And I literally showed up at Tuner with the most massive suitcase you ever did see. They were like, "You moving in?" And I'm like, "Well, not here, but yeah." And I flew straight from Tuner to Boston. It was like a week late for classes.
Wow.
And yeah, showed up to Boston hungover and in a dwam and totally like, what's happening? So
are you trying to tell us that you're still a member of Farah? They just keep forgetting you're there.
Yeah, they just forgot. They forgot I'm there. No. Yeah, so Tuner was like my last show with Farah. But it was funny, and I remember, saying bye. And at the time, my plan was to do 1 year at Berklee. They were all like, "Bye, see you never." And I was like, no, see you in a year. I'll be back. They were right.
They know you so well.
Yeah, I didn't think, I wasn't sure I'd want to stay for longer than a year. And I was really not sure I was going to be able to make it work financially, but it somehow all just kind of fell into place and worked. And you know how Facebook shows you little memories once in a while. One popped up yesterday, and it was from 2015 when I was a couple months in, and I had posted something like, it was just like, I was just so happy. I was like something like, I'm just having the best time and learning so much. I love this. And, I don't remember the exact words, but it was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I definitely made a good decision to go and study at Berklee and stuck it out. And I really, it was night and day compared to my art school experience. I really did have such a good experience. Obviously, with anything you study, there's downsides and there's stuff that's kind of like a slog, but and I worked really hard, but I really enjoyed it, and I would do it again, honestly. Like I would go and do it again if given the opportunity. I really got so much out of it.
So officially, what was the title of the course you were on?
Well, I did a diploma, which I guess is like the equivalent of a degree without the honors, as far as I'm aware. It's slightly different in the way that it works. But it was with like American universities, you have like a major and you can do a minor as well. And so my major, I was a performance major, so I chose to study performance. And then my minor was American roots. There's this, I mean, the reason I wanted to go is partly or mostly because of the American Roots program at Berkeley, which Matt Glazer is the head of. He's a fantastic fiddle player and musician and musical mind, just a genius. And he runs the American Roots program. And so I got to learn from like Daryl Anger. I got to learn from Bruce Molsky. I learned a lot of old time with Bruce, and I was really curious about that before I went and wanted to learn old time. And he even taught me some clawhammer banjo, which was really fun. And Joe Walsh, brilliant mandolin player. I did a lot of working on improvising and sort of bluegrass and newgrass and I don't know, that kind of side of things, like learning on how to improvise. I worked on some jazz and improvising with Mimi Rabson, who's just brilliant and so wonderful. I did a little bit of classical with this wonderful woman, Sandy, whose last name I cannot remember. But yeah, just so many brilliant people, and the American Roots program was a huge draw. And then the other thing was World Strings, Berkeley World Strings, run by Eugene Friesen, who's just incredible musician as well, incredible cello player and writer and arranger, and incredible group leader. And that was like a small string orchestra where we explored music from all around the world, which was so much fun. So much fun.
Before we get to that video,
yeah,
when we were speaking to Ron Block on the show, I asked the question regarding Scots Irish trad music being the basis of a lot of bluegrass and Americana. While you were there, was there any tunes that you kind of thought, hold on, I've been playing this in Orkney for all my life and it's called something completely different?
Exactly, and that was something that really fascinates me, and I'd love to dig in further on, really. Like Bruce would be like, all right, we're going to learn this tune today, and it's called Roscoe's Waltz, and I'd be like, Bruce, you're playing it wrong, and that is the Muckin' of Geordie's Byre. And it's a waltz, Roscoe's Waltz, but it's the Muckin' of Geordie's Byre, played slow and a little bit crooked, and it's crazy to me. And then there's another one that I love is Rothiemurchus Rant, which there's also an Irish version of, and in the States it's called Graf Spee, and it's no longer a Strath Spey. Graf Spee? Like, is that not like Chinese whispers or whatever? Like, I don't think that's the PC term anymore. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like music that's gone over and been taught by ear on and down the line until it's now a real, but it's really crooked. And you play the A part like 4 times with this extra beat in the middle. Then you play the B, then the C, then the D, then you play the C again, and then you play half a D, and then you go back to A. So, but it is Rothiemurchus Rant. It's the same. And that stuff is so fascinating to me. I'd really love to learn more.
I found one in an Appalachian collection, and it was Bonaparte's crossing the Rhine.
Yeah,
and it's the Battle of Waterloo.
Yeah,
you're like, someone's wrote this down wrong.
I know, isn't it interesting? And like even that tune, I think, has different versions and different names. Like so many of these tunes have like probably gone off into different parts and become different things in different places too, which is, it's so interesting to me. It really is. It's fascinating.
All before copyright.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to hear a track from the Berkeley World Strings featuring Louise Bichan, and it's called Ian.
Yeah, so this actually, I was mentioning my granny going over to Canada, so this was part of that project. I wrote Ian for the other guy, and then every time we were rehearsing this in World Strings, everyone would be like, "Oh, Ian, poor Ian." The one who wasn't picked. We don't know whatever happened to Ian. But yeah, so I wrote this for that album out of my own light. And then I worked with one of my fellow students at Berkeley who is Canadian and is now living in LA and film scoring all sorts of films. You probably heard his music. He's doing amazing stuff. Ben Canor. So Ben and I kind of worked together on an arrangement of Ian for Wild Strings and me, and it was so much fun to get to play this. And I was really grateful for that opportunity.
Now, before we listen to it, I've listened to it a few times today. Confirm with me, what is the idiom it's originally written in?
What is the idiom? It's say it again.
Yeah. So what was the tune's idiom if you're playing it in traditional music? What would be classed as?
Oh, is that like jig reel or whatever?
Yeah.
Hard one.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's funny. Yeah, it's kind of like sort of a jig, sort of a fast waltzy kind of thing. I honestly,
that's what I thought.
Just came out of my head.
Let's have a listen to this. Just what you do on a Sunday night. Yeah, very much a film, cinematic style scoring to it, but also probably wouldn't be out of place at the Great Orchestra playing it. Just that sort of
totally.
that sort of mixture. It's really, really nice, and everyone
some
seems to be enjoying it.
Yeah, it was really fun to play, and it was fun with that group and that group of instruments as well, because it's not just your typical string orchestra kind of thing. A bunch of other fun instruments, like my friend Mauricio who plays Venezuelan cuatro. Mauricio actually came to a concert I did of my music and telling the story of my granny recently, and there was a lot of I don't know. I think we did a poll in the house in the room about who was Team Ian or Team Sydney. My granddad, he was like staunchly on Team Ian. I wouldn't exist if it was Ian that won.
That's very, very true. Very, very true. So Berkeley, you graduated. So that what year did you graduate? That would be 2019,
I think 2019. Yeah, I think it was 2019. I graduated from there. Is that right? 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah. Yeah. I did the 4 years.
But, what happened next?
Well, so when you study as a foreign student, you can't play gigs unless they're through the university while you're a student. You can't work unless it's for the university. So then when you graduate, you get given a year to work in the field you studied in, kind of thing. And so I was on that visa, kind of got going and playing some gigs finally. Formed a band, Corner House, which was kind of came out of living together in this big music house that's still a big music house and has been for about 15 years in Boston on the corner of the street, which that's where the name came from. And it's like, it's a big house with 2 sides, 6 bedrooms either side, just full of music students and musicians. And that's kind of what it came out of, like playing in the kitchen together all the time and that kind of thing. So Corner House formed from that and did some touring and traveling around. I had them in Scotland in like while I was still a student, because obviously I couldn't play gigs there. So I was like, well, you should come here. So in the summer, I think 2017 or 18, they came to Scotland. And then of course COVID came along and put a massive spanner in the works. And that point was when I decided to move to Maine, but didn't quite manage to find anywhere in Portland because everybody else had the same idea. And that's when we did this incredible big road trip, and then eventually landed back in Maine, living in a friend's house, which is where I still am. And slowly kind of like as COVID became less of a barrier to playing shows, it's been getting busier and busier over the last couple of years, doing a lot of gigs with Corner House, with my own music, playing with Connor Hearn and Brendan Hearn, his brother, and Ethan Satirawan, playing Out of My Own Light, and telling that story, as well as some newer music that's coming out in the spring, a new record that we made. And my duo with Ethan, Hildeland, we've been doing a bunch of stuff too. Just various different things. But I always kind of was hoping to spend more time back home as well, and kind of split the time a wee bit. And then COVID really, and that 2020 was meant to be that. I had loads of things lined up in both places, and put the spanner in the works there, obviously. But definitely planning a lot more time at home in the coming months.
We're going to play Songbird.
Oh yeah,
we've got a few folk that like the songs on the show, so we've got to give a song. So tell us a bit about this one.
Yeah, this was a 2020 collaboration with Nicky Murray, who is a great friend. Who I think I first met Nicky because he was kind of running So Far Sounds in Inverness, and we did a show up there. And I'd met him before that as well. He'd come to a show that Connor and I had played some duo gigs in Scotland one summer. We played a Sutherland Sessions show, and it was in an old railway house or something like that up in Sutherland somewhere. And that was where I first met Nicky. Yeah, and in 2020 we thought it'd be fun to do a little over the seas collaboration, and this is a song written by Nikki's friend that we kind of worked on an arrangement together and had a lot of fun doing. It's called Songbird.
Here we go.
Songbird flying at your tree, won't you come on down and spend some time with me? Pick you up each time you fall, each time that you're down. Put you back up in your tree and it'll all come down. And I can't sleep at night for dreaming about the way things might have been. When I'm screaming, that's okay, I'll keep it in. Songbird, hear you sing so sweet, in perfect melody, still knocks me off my feet. When we sing in harmony, the coldest heart might melt. Those perfect pure emotions that anybody's felt. And I can't sleep at night for dreaming about the way things might have been. It only hurts when I'm screaming, and that's okay, I'll keep it in. That's okay, I'll keep it in. That's okay, I'll keep it in.
Yeah, they're so fun.
It's a lovely song. Lovely song.
It is.
There you go.
Yeah.
More great sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to spending some time. We're going to be in Glasgow for most of January and February, and yeah, hoping to catch up with Nikki and maybe do some collaborating again.
Are you doing any official Celtic Connections gigs?
Yeah, Hildeland, the duo Ethan and I are playing on the 26th of January with Juliet Lemoyne. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And Lauren Collier band, and it's called New Traditions, and it's in the concert hall in Strathclyde Suite. So yeah, really looking forward to that. I'm really excited to hear both of their bands, their music. Really have been enjoying listening to Juliet's new record. It's really beautiful. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun show.
We had Juliet on the show about 3 weeks ago.
Lovely.
1, 2, 3, yeah, the 29th. Yeah. So, fantastic.
Really good.
The one thing I have noticed with your playing, because you have been exposed to the Americana, you slip in quite well with that that style.
Thanks.
And we'll hear some traditional tunes later on. Mm-hmm. But we're going to go for another track called Coldstream, and this is a live track. Do you want to tell us about Coldstream and the venue itself as well?
Oh yeah. So Coldstream is going to be on my new record, which I am calling "The Lost Summer," which is I wrote it's a title track kind of situation. I wrote the tune "The Lost Summer" in 2020 because I was feeling totally miserable my siblings were all home in Orkney, and they were all, you know, like working away on the farm and helping out and having a nice time together. And Jen, my sister, bought ducks. He had these cute little ducklings. I was like, why am I not home? And I was just missing home a lot, and you know, it was tough times, but ended up actually being a great summer because that was when we did that road trip and everything. It's also much of this beautiful big country, and so it's kind of ironic. But I'm calling it that anyway, The Lost Summer, and it's coming out in the spring. And so Coldstream is one of the tracks on there. And I wrote this tune for my uncle that played the fiddle, Uncle Sid, down in Aberdeenshire. It's the name of the farm down there. So it's for Sid and Katie and all my cousins in Aberdeenshire. And we played it on a tiny little island, which is just about like 15-minute ferry ride from Portland in Maine. Called Peaks Island, and there's just this incredible, wonderful couple out there. This lady Ellen organizes house concerts at her place. In the summer, it's kind of like we play on the little porch, like deck bit, and everyone brings chairs and rugs and sits on the lawn. And in the winter, it's in a church or wherever. Just like really lovely settings and really nice crowds and wonderful people. And so we were out to play on Peaks Island, and while we were there, we just kind of found a little rocky bit on the shore, and after a swim, of course, and recorded a little video. And there was people on, they like to, it's such a tiny little island, and people go around on golf carts in the summer, and you know, they'll like walk around this one road that goes around the perimeter like of the island, and we were right next to that. So by the time we finished, there was a little crowd gathered to listen.
Here's Coldstream.
Yeah, I was talking rubbish. I was thinking of another video. There's another video on YouTube of that same tune played on Peaks Island, but that was at Club Passim, which is Boston's like fantastic, wonderful, brilliant like folk venue, which has been going for a really long time. Had a different name before, and it's all sorts of incredible folk musicians and stars have played there in their early days, and that was fairly recent. Playing a little live show there. It's just one of my favorite places to play, and favorite. Everyone that works there is lovely and it's wonderful. Can't say enough good things about Club Passim. And that was playing with Ethan on mandolin and Connor on guitar and Brendan on cello, who all play on the new record and who are my favorite people, and I'm very lucky I get to play with them. Connor and Brendan are, we joke, and their sister Caitlin are like some of my best friends in the world, and we joked in kind of the earlier days of me being at Berkeley that their parents were like, we'll adopt you, I'm their green card sister. So Brendan even wrote a tune, The Green Card Sister.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You mentioned there your new record. Mm-hmm. But what you've not mentioned is something that's been all over your social media recently. Do you want to talk about that?
I'm making a tune book. I made a tune book. It's getting printed now. This is like the hard proof of it, and it's funny. It's like the post that I have posted recently that has had the most engagement of any on Instagram was. Turns out everyone has opinions, whether it's hard, whether it's perfect bound or spiral bound. As I was having a hard time because obviously with the music book you want it to lie flat on the music stand so that you can read it and it doesn't shut on you. But I think perfect bound looks so much nicer than spiral bound, and this is what I'm going for. And it's bound in a way that you can be rough with it and force it to be open. But yeah, it was actually a friend of mine from California who said she like mistakenly thought that my Kickstarter for my new record was for a tune book, and I was like, that's a great idea. I'm gonna do it. And so I added even more work for myself, and I'm really glad I did. So it's all the tunes from the new record and from my first record, Out of My Own Light, and from tunes that I play with and have recorded with Corner House and Hildeland, and then various others. Like there's one that I played with Farah, and there's I have a little trio with some of my friends here called Bellwether. There's a couple tunes I play with them. So yeah, it goes way back. I think maybe the oldest of the tunes, one of the first I wrote for my great aunt Rena, who was a total legend, and how well you can see Rena and little me there. But yeah, my granny and Rena in that one. She was a legend. I wrote for her 80th birthday in 2002. So it goes way back. 20 years of tune writing or so.
Yeah. There's been a lot of folk asking for your tunes over the years, so it's good that you're finally getting a collection together.
Yeah, I'm glad. And you know what? One of the tunes I threw in there as well, one of my earlier ones, my first commission was from my mom. So mom asked me to write a tune it was like a colleague's daughter was getting married in the Italian chapel in Orkney, which was built by the Italian prisoners of war. I think World War II. It's like a Nissan hut, but like beautifully painted on the ceiling.
It's lovely. Yeah.
Front. It's incredible. It's beautiful. But it was Valentine's Day, and that thing is not heated.
No,
so it was me and my brother Finley was playing the accordion, and we both had like fingerless gloves on, trying to play in freezing cold, play this tune that I wrote for their wedding. It's called Queen of Peace, because that's what's painted on the ceiling. My cousin came up with that idea. And that I guess that one, for some reason, that tune of mine has kind of gone places. A couple of summers ago, I was in northern Vermont in what they call the Northeast Kingdom. And I was up there, walked into this church where we were going to play a concert with Corner House and Pete Sutherland, who's sadly not with us anymore. Incredible fiddle player, musician, really cool person. I was really glad I got the chance to meet, and Oliver that plays with him. And this group of young musicians from around New England, and run by Mark Sustick. He kind of runs this group. I forget what they call it. But anyway, I walked into this church and they were playing Queen of Peace. And it was just the most surreal experience. And they couldn't, for the life of them, remember who it was that had taught this tune to them. But they had like the original sheet music that my mum had paid someone who did beautiful calligraphy to write it out and had it framed and everything. And they had like a photocopy of that original music. And someone had taught this tune to them. And I wish I knew. So if you're listening, you taught this to a bunch of kids in Vermont, like tell me.
Because you're Jimmy royalties.
Yeah. No, it was just really sweet. So they invited me to play it with them at the concert, and it was really fun.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Yeah. Let's have another track, because it's going. We've got 3 tracks left, and it's going so well, and everyone's enjoying it. And I wrote it down, the exact same way it's written. I'm going to. You know exactly which track this is, don't you?
Oh, is it the one I corrected you on before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm going to say, come on, this next track's called
The Strand.
That's better.
The Strand's a wee cobbled lane in Kirkwall. It's a brilliant old Orkney tune.
Give me 2 seconds, because I was in Orkney for my honeymoon, so I'm trying to think where this place is.
It's right next to the cathedral, actually. It's this little lane that runs.
It's up that end. Yes. I know
like tall, high brick wall, like, you know, dike walls, like either side of it. And it's like flagstone, maybe rather than cobblestone.
Here we go.
Thank you.
The cello, when a double bass is just too big.
Exactly. And Casey does incredible stuff with that cello and
Yeah.
sort of plays that role. Definitely plays the bass role and the melody and the percussion, and just it's so fun playing with Casey. And yeah, I love playing that tune with that's Carter House, my band that came out of living together in Boston. Yeah, it's really fun to play that with them, and it was just years ago. I was like, you guys should learn an Orkney tune and play this with me. So, and at the time I was like, a Strathspey? Are you sure? Are you crazy? It's like, no, you can do it. So
like,
it's fun to
4
play it
beats in the bar.
video and all that. So yeah, it's really fun, and it always gets the crowd going. That one, people love the strand.
I think it's because it's not something they've heard. The styling as well is different for them, so it's unique.
Yeah.
The people are asking, where can they get your material?
Well, there's my website right there. Look at that. How convenient. Yeah, I mean, so Out of My Own Light is still around, that, and it's all the streaming and stuff. So there's that record. I just ran a Kickstarter for the new record. So if you missed that, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait. But that's coming out. Date to be determined, but sometime April or May. The last summer, and we just brought a record out with Hildeland, our duo. I'm really proud of that. It's called Soul Scary. The kind of like title track is The Selkie of Soul Scary, which is a great old folk tale and song. And so that's out on, you can get it on like Bandcamp or whatever, and on all the streaming and all of that stuff, all those usual places. And Corner House has a bunch of albums as well, also Bandcamp and Corner House band.com or music, I forget which. And all the streaming. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. I've been busy over the last few years making albums.
Not much else to do, is there? But no, it's fantastic. And I'm looking forward to seeing the book. And it's
I'm excited to get the final thing in hand. Yeah, it's been ordered. The CD's also been ordered. I'm very excited. Gonna get to send all those out and take some back to Scotland with me for all the Kickstarter people who helped me get it finished up, which I'm very grateful for.
A geeky question that I have is, did you have to make it American size paper, or did you use A4?
Yeah, no, it's American sized, I'm afraid. I printed it over here. Maybe at some point I'll do a run in the UK and print it A4.
In normal paper.
No, this is letter. Paper. This is letter size. Yes, which is a little bit short and stout compared to your A4, which is tall. Yeah.
Oh dear, yeah. That's Americans.
No, exactly.
We're gonna finish off with this last track, and what we're going to do is, because Peter's not here as well, we're going to finish off this with this track and then end the show. So it's quite handy. I'll do a bit of advertising for next week's show before we go. Next week we have George Spence, the fiddle player, who was a young trad semi-finalist. So don't miss that. But we're having a set of Scottish reels. Tell us what they are, and
give me
anything
hint.
else you want to say. This is Sleeps Round, and I think the second one, Sleeps in the Morning.
Oh, Sleeps in the Morning, yeah, the Shetland tune. And the first one is it who am I playing this with? I've forgotten what I sent you.
Hildeland.
Okay, yeah. So Sleeps in the Morning. The first one would be The Sound of Sleet, I believe.
That's what
which
it
is,
yes, it is
The
actually,
Sound of Sleet is the bit of water between Skye and the mainland. Am I right?
I believe
I think
so.
It is.
Louise, it's been fantastic having you on tonight, and thanks for
having me.
bearing with me. Usually Peter does all the chatty stuff. For those that are interested, you can go to your website and see all your stuff, and hopefully spend some money with you, and keep an eye on your social media for your new album and book.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, set of Scottish Reels by Hildeland.
Thanks for having me.
Where was this gig?
I think
Dance
it's
hall.
in the dance hall in Kittery in Maine, which is also a fantastic little old venue that's been going for a while and lovely people that run it. So yeah, it was quite recent.
Well, there you go. Scottish Reels in Maine. Have a nice night.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll play this tune, The Sound of Sleep, and then we'll play a tune from Shetland, which is equally as beautiful and even further to get to, way up there. And I swear there are not nearly so many murders as you see on the show Shetland. None really. So it's safe. You can go and visit Shetland as well. It's called Sleep Soon in the Morning.